FIFA World Cup 2026 is about to become the biggest World Cup in history. Not the biggest because of one superstar, not the biggest because of one host country, but because FIFA basically looked at the old World Cup and said, what if we made everything bigger? More teams, more matches, more countries, more fans, and somehow, even more confusion. So, in the next few minutes, I'm going to explain exactly how the FIFA World Cup 2026 works, why it's different, and why this tournament could completely change international football forever. And trust me, the biggest change isn't what most people think. Let's start with the obvious one. More teams. For decades, the World Cup had 32 teams. Simple. You qualified. You got in. You tried not to embarrass yourself on the world's biggest stage. But in 2026, FIFA is expanding the tournament to 48 teams. 48. That's 16 extra countries, an entire extra World Cup's worth of teams. In theory, this sounds great. More countries get a chance. More fans get involved. More underdog stories. Everybody wins. Well, almost everybody, because more teams means the entire tournament structure had to change. And that's where things get interesting. The new group stage. The old World Cup had 8 groups of 4 teams. Easy. Each team played 3 matches. The top 2 advanced. Done. But with 48 teams, FIFA now has 12 groups of 4, 12, which means more groups, more games, and more teams moving on. The top 2 teams from each group automatically qualify for the knockout stage. That's 24 teams already. Then the 8 best third-place teams also advance. Yes, you can actually finish third and still survive. This sounds simple. It isn't, because now teams will be watching other groups, calculating scenarios, and suddenly becoming temporary math experts. You know the type. The friend who never watches football suddenly pulls out a spreadsheet. The knockout stage just got bigger. This is probably the biggest change nobody talks about. The old tournament went straight into the round of 16. Now, there's a round of 32. Think of it like adding an entire extra playoff round. More knockout games, more drama, more opportunities for giant upsets, and more opportunities for fans to completely lose their minds. One bad game and you're gone. That's the beauty of knockout football, and honestly, that's why people love it. A team can look unstoppable for weeks, then lose one match, and suddenly they're booking flights home. More matches than ever. The 2022 World Cup had 64 matches. The 2026 World Cup, 104 matches. Let that sink in. 104. That's 40 extra games. An entire extra month of football conversations. An entire extra month of arguments online. An entire extra month of people saying, this is definitely our year. And for some countries, it definitely won't be. The tournament is expected to last longer, involve more travel, and generate even bigger audiences around the world. This isn't a small expansion. It's a massive one. 3 host countries. Here's something we've never seen before at this scale. The tournament will be hosted by 3 countries: the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Usually one country hosts the World Cup, sometimes 2, but 3? That's a whole different challenge. Imagine organizing the biggest sporting event on Earth across an entire continent. Teams will travel thousands of miles, fans will cross borders, and logistics managers probably haven't slept in months. In practice, it's a huge operation, but it also allows more stadiums, more cities, and more fans to experience the World Cup firsthand. Why FIFA is doing this. Now let's talk about the real question. Why expand it all? The simple answer: more countries, more viewers, more money, more global interest. FIFA wants football to feel bigger and more accessible worldwide. And to be fair, millions of fans will now see their country reach a World Cup that previously had almost no chance. That's genuinely exciting. But critics argue that adding too many teams could reduce the overall quality of the tournament. And honestly, they might have a point. Nobody really knows yet. That's what makes 2026 so fascinating. It's basically a giant experiment. The biggest change isn't the extra teams. Remember the question from the beginning? Why is this World Cup bigger than ever? It's not just because there are 48 teams. It's because everything expands with it. The number of matches, the number of host cities, the number of fans, the number of storylines, the number of countries dreaming they can shock the world. FIFA World Cup 2026 isn't just a larger version of the old tournament. It's an entirely new version of the World Cup, and whether that turns out to be brilliant or chaotic, we're about to find out. Because for the first time in history, the world's biggest sporting event is trying something this ambitious. So here's the question: will the 48-team World Cup create more unforgettable moments, or will it make the tournament too big for its own good? Let me know what you think, and if you enjoy simple explanations that make complicated sports topics actually make sense, subscribe for more videos just like this.